Welcome to GetMoreSports.com. I am William Whalen, and we are here to discuss a couple of the upsets that we witnessed over the weekend and what those tell us coming down the stretch of the regular season. And we're going to start in the Big 12. Not a tremendous upset here. Certainly two ranked teams going at it can always go either way. But nonetheless, West Virginia carrying that momentum from their last-second home win over Kansas into Stillwater, Oklahoma, and really coming back to kind of, I believe they were down by double figures at one point against Oklahoma State, and coming back to win that game, really did a tremendous job defending Phil Forte, and really the story for West Virginia right now, and the story for them coming down the stretch, and the story for them going into March about what they'll be able to do damage-wise against teams is Juwan Staten, and he's been fantastic as of late, starting to knock down the outside range jumper. Of course, is able to get into the lane oftentimes whenever he wants, given his skill set and quickness. I was really impressed by West Virginia. Bob Huggins has this group maybe playing their best basketball of the year so far. It's important for them to do that coming down the stretch because the schedule doesn't get any easier, especially going in to the Big 12 tournament as the season wraps up. But they look in solid position to be kind of a single-digit seed in the NCAA tournament, probably something around a 6, maybe even, the way that they've been playing lately. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, starting to drop a little bit in my bracketology. I've got them at an 8 seed, maybe even trending down to a 9 sometime here soon. But they're going to be right in that range one way or another, certainly dangerous for any other team to face in the tournament. Then we want to look a little bit north, looking at Michigan and Ohio State, one of the great rivalries in college sports, generally more thought of as a football rivalry, certainly given the success that both of those programs have had. But nonetheless, these two teams came together, and once again, Michigan was able to surprise, really impressed by the resolve that this Wolverines group has shown. Spike Albrecht in particular was fantastic against Ohio State. Now, Michigan is not going to be an NCAA tournament team. I think we've pretty much established that. They're going to be a dangerous NIT team if they do accept that bid. And I definitely think that they're starting to kind of find a few answers for the holes that they had earlier in the year. On the other side, we've got Ohio State. And the Buckeyes have kind of seen their freshman point guard, D'Angelo Russell, hit a bit of a wall. It's not entirely surprising. This happens with freshmen, especially given with how much of the load he has had to carry. My question with this group is, can they get him some help? Can they get him a little bit of rest to give this team a chance to make a run in the NCAA tournament? I'm not really sure right now. Nonetheless, Russell is one of the most dynamic players in the country, but still, everybody needs a little bit of help. He is just a freshman. It's not like this is a veteran senior, maybe a Doug McDermott that has to do so much, but can keep it up throughout the year. Russell hitting a wall right now. I still do like the Buckeyes as kind of a dangerous, probably more of like a 7 or 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. And lastly, for the weekend upsets, this is a game that I'm going to touch on more in my big bubble winners of the weekend story coming up here soon today. We want to talk about a little bit Utah and Oregon. Now, this was going to be a big game, and actually in my games of the week, I previewed Utah and Oregon State. Now, that was one of the most boring basketball games that has ever been played by anybody in history. But nonetheless, you saw why that game made an appearance on the list, because Oregon State can make things very difficult for you. That zone really slows things down. Wayne Tinkle obviously knows how to control pace of the basketball game, and Utah struggled through much of the game, ultimately winning by double digits. But nonetheless, it was indeed a struggle. Then they go into Eugene. When the Ducks, I've said all year, have firepower to keep up with a lot of teams in the country on any given night just because of guys like, of course, Joe Young, Dwayne Benjamin, Elgin Cook. I mean, these are people who can fill up the box score a little bit whenever they are given the opportunity to. Now, defensively, that can be another story, but nonetheless, they were able to make just enough plays, especially when they went to their zone defense, which really stifled the Utah offense late in the game. Now, the big turning point was Utah hits a couple threes, Daylon Wright, Jordan Loveridge getting to the lane, getting to the free throw line. But then, of course, Dylan Brooks, who was supposed to be a 2015 recruit and really early enrolled into Oregon to be eligible for this year, goes down the lane and just about ends the career of everybody on Utah with a thunderous dunk. That changed the entire makeup of the game, got Oregon re-energized, get the crowd back into it, and of course leading to Oregon's upset. We're going to talk more about that as it relates to the bubble in another story today, but that was the highlight of the weekend in terms of upsets, is Oregon taking down number 9 Utah at home.